AITA for refusing to pay for my gender reveal cupcakes? I, F22, found out last week my first baby's gender, and it's a little girl. My family are excited about I decided to do a small gender reveal over the Easter weekend. I had this planned for Saturday, so a few days before, I asked a small local business if she could please make 12 cupcakes with pink and blue icing on top, and pink icing in the middle. She agreed and said they would be ready to collect. Friday evening the plan was to pick the cakes up Friday, invite friends and family over Saturday and give some guests a cupcake which would reveal the gender. I only invited a few guests as my apartment is fairly small, and I didn't want to do a large gender rev anyway, just something cute and fun, plus, everyone loves cupcakes. So Friday evening came, the small business owner, Claire, gave me her address to collect the cakes from, said they would cost £25 and they are ready to collect whenever. I drove to her apartment and knocked on the door. She greeted me there with the box of cupcakes and they looked amazing. They were exactly how I imagined them and thanked her for them. She gave me the box, but just as she did, her large pet dog came running up to me, barking, and jumped at me, knocking the box of cupcakes all over the floor. Claire apologized and shut the dog inside. He was still barking and jumping at the door. She said it's because he gets excited when people come and visit, but he wouldn't have hurt me as he's friendly. At this point I didn't know the damage to the cupcakes as the box landed upside down. I picked it up and the cakes were ruined. The icy ingod smashed all over the box and some cakes had spilled out onto the ground. Claire looked horrified as I understand she spent a few hours making them for me. She apologized and said she could remake them for free, but they wouldn't be ready until Sunday. I said, unfortunately I am expecting my guests tomorrow and Sunday is no good, as I already had other plans. I explained I wouldn't be paying for these cupcakes as they were inedible and ruined by her dog. We agreed payment upon receiving the goods, and since they never received them, I wouldn't be paying. She said that I should still pay as she had to buy ingredients for the cakes and the costs of eggs has gone up, meaning she would be out of pocket. I said if she had control of her dog, then they wouldn't have been dropped, and I am sorry, but again, I would NTBE paying. He got in my car and left without the cupcakes. I still had guests attend on Saturday. I announced the gender in person, rather than with some cupcakes, but it was still nice spending time with my friends and family. My family were all happy, but my sister-in-law said I should have still paid for the cupcakes as she accepted it was her fault, and offered to remake them for May. Personally don't think I should have had to pay for them, but now I am feeling slightly guilty as I understand it's a small business and a loss of profit would affect her a lot harder than a larger business. AITA? AITA for banning my daughter from Easter over a prank throwaway because relevant parties are on Reddit. I, 49F, have a daughter, Susan, 21F, who was hospitalized for an extreme medical emergency last month. Susan was there for 4 days. I visited every day until the last, which happened Toby on April 1st. Her roommate and other friends also visited. On the 1st her roommate called me crying, saying that Susan's condition suddenly worsened and she passed on. In hindsight I should have thought something was up, but hearing that in the moment turned me into a sobbing wreck. About a half hour later Susan and her roommate came into my house and shouted, "April Fools." Turns out she was allowed to leave the hospital, and that was how she decided to total me. I did not know it was possible to be so relieved and pissed at the same time. I called this joke horrible, screamed at her and told her she was not welcome in my house for the foreseeable future. Apparently Susan thought Easter would be an exception. I was hosting this year with a few relatives and she came in. She still has a key. I made her give it back and once again told her to get the hell out of my house, and while she persisted and was very stubborn about it, she finally left crying. The rest of the gathering was understandably awkward. It's not like I will never forgive her or that I'm going no contact or anything like that, but I am just too hurt and angry to speak or look at her right now to have any sort of discussion about what happened. She tries to call and text me every day, but I ignored most of them. Our family is split between acknowledging that there are consequences for this while several others say I need to move on and just forgive her because she still hasn't fully recovered and needs my support. I get that, but I think she is getting plenty of support from other people right now for me to be a necessity, and if she wanted my support she would not do something so cruel. She was always a bit of a jokester, but never like this. It really does not sit right with me at all to just bygones be bygones right now. Boot some relatives including my parents say I should. I hope I can get some unbiased opinions on this please, apart from family. AITA for losing it with my former mill and saying I don't want to help her granddaughter. My ex-husband died 6 months ago. We were divorced for 3 years prior to that after he cheated on me for about 6 years with a woman he married after our divorce. X and I share 3 children together. A 17-year-old son, 16-year-old daughter and 15-year-old daughter. X got his second wife pregnant while we were married, which is how the affair got revealed in the first place. I kicked him out and cut ties except for semi-civil co-parenting. I have never had anything to do with his daughter, who is now 3. After my ex died, my former mill took her in temporarily. She's in poor health and my ex was her only child. The mother of the child had no family who was willing to take her. So she wanted to try and keep her out of foster care. My former mill asked me about 2 months ago to consider raising her granddaughter, seeing as she is the half-sibling of my children. I told her I did not want to do that. She spoke to my children and they refused to ask me on her behalf. She suggested that my children might want to keep her in their family, and how could I deny them that chance? So I asked my children if they had any thoughts or plans to take her on once any of them were 18. They all said no. My son said his grandma had mentioned that to him, but he didn't care. My girls share a similar sentiment, though she did not ask them directly. Former mill reached out again and I told her my answer was still no. She suggested that her granddaughter is my family and I cut her off and said that is not true. I told her I am not the child's mother, stepmother, aunt or anything that would imply family. She told me she will need to let the caseworker know in the coming weeks that she needs a foster home if I can't take her. She told me to do it for her granddaughter, that she's innocent, how can I not love her, and rambled on a lot about that. I lost my cool, snapped at her and told her I don't want to help her granddaughter and foster care is the best place for her if she can't raise her. Former mill told me I was a horrible evil woman and that it was no wonder my children didn't care about their sister when I had that attitude about her, and she hoped one day it wouldn't come back to bite mine the SS. AITA for the way I spoke to her and for what I said about her granddaughter. ETA. X and his wife, aka the mother of the child. It was a car crash. Apologies for not adding that in the original post. AITA for firing my bridesmaid for disclosing her diagnosis at my bachelorette. I'm getting married in 3 weeks, and I just had my bachelorette over Easter weekend. During a quiet moment, one of my bridesmaids took me aside and told me that about 3 months ago she was diagnosed with fetal alcohol syndrome. Obviously, I asked her what that meant for her and she started crying because she feels differently about her relationship with her mother. We met in elementary school and she's always had a learning disability, but she didn't know that there was a preventable cause. My other bridesmaids noticed her crying, and the evening ended up being about her. We skipped out on going to a bar in the limo I had hired because she was upset. I thought about it all today and ended up emailing her to tell her that she took away an important moment from my life. I feel bad about this happening to her, but even though she didn't always know, it's been going on for her whole life. If this was a recent thing she found out about or it was some kind of deadly disease, I would feel differently, but she was sitting on this for months before bringing it up at an event that was supposed to be special to me. You only get one bachelorette and mine was totally overshadowed. I felt really hurt that she did that, and told her that I didn't want to have her in my wedding eve. That's how she's going to treat me at a time where the focus was supposed to be something good in my life instead of something sad in hers. She could have waited a few more weeks until after the wedding if she wanted to have this conversation. She's still invited to the wedding, but I don't want her to be a bridesmaid after this. I was just texting my cousin, my maid of honor, and Shadisa agreed with me doing this. She said that it sucked that we didn't go to the bar, but this other friend has already paid for her dress, so I should just let her stay. My fiancé supports my choice, but I wanted another opinion. AITA? AITA for liquidating my daughter's college fund to keep our dream house? I, 50F, lost my husband 4 years ago. I also have a 16-year-old daughter. My late husband left me everything and told me to trust his lawyer. My husband had worked for 20 years as a doctor and did some minor investing, so I inherited over 7 figures. A year later, I decided to list our home of 12 years and received an offer too good to refuse. With the inheritance as well as the influx of cash from selling the house, I decided to move my daughter and I to Malibu because we always dreamed of a home next to the beach, but my husband was exceptionally tight-fisted and called homes their money pits. We found a beautiful home by the sea. I never personally handled anything regarding buying a home. Before, so I did not anticipate all the extra costs beyond the sticker price. But my daughter was so excited, so I decided to go for it. My late husband's lawyer was furious at my decision, so I decided to stop taking his calls. He ended up signing with a money manager who said that we'd be passively earning 90% of what surgeons earn per year. But the money manager ended up tanking a lot of our investments. I took the dwindling money out and made my own investments, which made it worse, and long story short, because of all that I only have around $35 available to me now. Not to mention our debts. With the amount available to me, I am looking at only being able to pay 1 month of a mortgage. Upkeep, and then I'm basically out of luck until my business gets clients. However, the place where we have a significant amount of money is the fund my husband started for our daughter. With the money there, I could prevent our credit cards from being shut down and not have to worry about the mortgage for many more months. So I ended up liquidating my daughter's college fund. I told her about it today and she was furious and said she cannot believe all her dad's work is gone. Shay Slow said she won't be supporting me for retirement. AITA for trying to fix my mistakes and trying to keep our house?